This is our 2003 Duker B trains that we're going to be fixing up. A lot of rust and perforation in the steel because of the nice salt that's on our Ontario roads. They need a little love. So we're going to start by sandblasting all the rust off. Where there are holes, we're going to be cutting out the steel and welding over top of weak steel, and then hitting it with a good self-etching primer. So to sandblast, we hired a buddy of mine, Brian Warren, 67 years old, and will not even stop for a coffee break. Just go at it hard and put those 20-year-olds to shame. So our Duker trailers are taking a lot longer than we hoped, but you run into that, I guess. Putting all new steel on the sides, and we have to put a 2-inch or 3-inch plate on this trailer, 2-inch on the other one, on the top and under the bottom of this brace, just because they stitch welded it. And where there isn't any stitch, the salt gets in behind there and starts perforating it. So we got a couple holes already, and we'll have more in a year or two, so we're just trying to cover that already. So between the 2-inch plate on top and bottom and the sides, there's about 140 feet worth of steel there. So that's about 280 feet of welding that's got to be done on this. It takes time. It's annoying because it's upside down. But after that, we'll paint it, and then she'll look 100 times better. Good for another 5-10 years. So here we go. This is the brace that holds the trailer together. And you see it's rotting all the way along, so we're going to cut it out. So the lines run through it for the hydro and the air. So I thought I'd cut a hole in the back here since we're replacing this anyway. And this is what is laying in the frame of this trailer. So we're going to, there's an airline right there. Pretty bad shape. That's all kind of behind the scenes. The owner thought that this trailer was in good shape. That's not really the case. It's the same with our landing gear here. As you can see that, it's kind of dark, but it's all full of holes. So I got to make all new landing gear. And you can see it's already been welded there. It all looks like shit. MTO doesn't like that very much. So away we go. Lots of work. So we've replaced the 2x2 tubing here, and I've welded it solid, but even still I take silicone, a paintable silicone, and put it on the bottom and on the inside, on the back of it as well. And they added this brace to it, but it's making it stronger, so I left it. But I still silicone the weld afterwards in case there's a little opening, so to try and keep the salt in the water out, and that'll keep this from rotting out a lot quicker. Once all the fresh steel was welded in, we hit all the pieces that weren't primed with the self-etching primer again. That gives a nice bite into the bare steel with the self-etching primer, and that gives a good base for the epoxy coat that goes on afterwards. Once the epoxy coat dries, we hit it with a good quality black paint. Very difficult to paint big projects like this because there's lots of steel to get in your way. Very easy to get a run. Overall, it turned out really nice, but we have to put a coat on, a flash coat, and then put a nice thick coat on about 15 minutes later. So wherever you're painting, you got to keep an eye on the clock. Wherever you are 15 minutes in, you got to stop and go back to where you started and put a nice thick coat on. And what you want to see is the paint run together, but not so much that it turns into a physical run. Make a good tight seal to keep the oxygen out and make these trailers last another good 5-10 years. I started at 4 this morning. Was at the farmer's place fixing his case for 5, and then I painted this thing and prepped it until 7 o'clock tonight. 15-hour day, but boy does she turn out nice. I'm pretty happy with this one. So I'm gonna finish her all up, and then we still gotta paint the ladder and put the tires and everything back on it again. A couple things for safety yet, but 100% better than it was, that's for sure. Here we go. This is our 2003 Duker B-Train grain trailers. This was a 2-month project, which took a lot longer than we expected. We started with a simple sandblasting and a paint job, and that turned into showing all the holes and the flaws in this trailer. One of the flaws being that this brace that's welded onto the hopper is stitch welded, and in between the stitching is caulking. The caulking dries out, the salt gets in behind there and starts eating the steel right out. So we had holes all the way along the hopper. So what we did was we welded 3-inch and 2-inch flat bar all the way around, covered up all the holes, strengthened it again, and then gave it a good epoxy paint and self-etching primer. The frame rails were rotten, and they are structural, so we replaced the frame rails front to back. And the best thing to do with these frame rails, if you get this trailer new, is just drill holes in the side, tap them, put a plug in there, and just fill them up with oil once a year. These fenders are all aluminum, and we tried polishing them, but they were too far gone. They're very pitted, so we just took some aluminum paint and polished them up a bit, and then painted the ladders and the steps aluminum as well. The front fenders we were able to save, got a decent shine off of them. These trailers are about 130 to 150 grand new, depending on how our dollar is. We're here in Canada. So he paid about 20-25 for these, put a good penny into them, fixing them up again, but he should be getting at least another 8 to 10 years out of it again before these are ready for the scrapyard. It's a nice setup, a couple minor flaws like the caulking, but if you can jump on those right away, you can save yourself a lot of headache later. And just, I know Crown rust protection, 300 bucks, they come down, they under oil everything, they drill the holes, well worth it. So I'm glad to see these go out the driveway. They take up a lot of inventory. We started with sandblasting them all, and I'd have to paint them outside that night or put them inside the shop because of the humidity here in Canada. They rust overnight. So it's bean season, got it out not a day too soon, and I'm gonna go have a beer and a nap because this project was really stressing me out. But I'm proud of this one, it turned out nice. This is the truck we buffed up a little bit, just it's also a 15-year-old truck, and he's got a nice looking rig going down the road for a decent buck. So here we go. So follow a variety of projects that include conversions and repairs to anything from Ferraris to chainsaws. And check out the Tape Boss, my newest invention that's coming to market. And remember, if you're not filthy, you're not rich.